So our next speaker is Mary Leigh Blek.
It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's annual homelessness assessment report, people with mental or substance abuse disorders can be particularly vulnerable to becoming homeless or, I love this term, precariously housed. In January 2016, 1 out of 5 people experienced homelessness had a serious mental illness. That same HUD report found that California had 118,142 homeless people, which accounted for 22% of the nation's homeless population. How shameful for California. I guess probably our nice weather has a little bit to do with that, as well as our... Oh, of course, I'd be more than happy to. The same HUD report found that California had 118,142 homeless people, which accounted for 22% of the nation's homeless population. My bet is that everyone in this room has encountered a homeless person in Orange County. What is Proposition 2? First of all, this proposition is a legislating statute and was voted on by the California legislature and placed on the ballot. In a nutshell, it authorizes bonds to fund existing housing programs for individuals with mental illness. It would do the following. It would approve the No Place Like Home Act of 2016, passed by the California legislature, and approved the issuance of $2 billion in bonds to support the program. It also amends provisions of Proposition 63 to allow the use of revenue for No Place Like Home Act of 2016. Furthermore, it would have no direct, I repeat that, no direct impact on the state budget because the bonds would be paid back up to $140 million annually from the funds generated by Proposition 63 to repay up to $2 billion in bonds used to pay for the No Place Like Home Act of 2016. By way of a brief background, in 2004, California voters approved Proposition 63, which was also called the Mental Health Services Act. It provided funding for county mental health services by increasing the income tax paid by people with an income over $1 million. Counties are responsible for providing mental health care for people that lack private health insurance. Some counties also provide for other housing, substance abuse treatment, and other services for those suffering from mental illness. The legislature passed the No Place Like Home Act of 2016 that authorizes $2 billion in bonds for use by counties for permanent supportive housing to house people who are eligible for treatment under Prop 63 and are homeless and at risk for chronic homelessness. The bonds were to be paid off with interest over 30 years using money from the revenue raised by Proposition 63. No bonds were issued under that No Place Like Home Act of 2016 because the state must ask for a court decision that the legislation is within the scope of Prop 63, and that court decision is still pending. The supporters of Proposition 2 believe that it will help alleviate the problem of homelessness complicated by mental illness by keeping mental health services in reach of people. The key to alleviating homelessness complicated by mental illness. That support housing allows coordinated care of individuals who need treatment and housing. It helps establish and strengthen partnerships between doctors, law enforcement, mental health, and homeless service providers to ensure that that proper care is coordinated. And it will use funds already earmarked for mental health services. A 2018 RAND study found that Proposition 2 approach is beginning to succeed in LA County. Financial contributions of approximately $2 million have been reported. Those listed as supporters include the Mental Health America of California, California Police Chiefs Association, Chan Zuckerberg Advocacy, Housing, State Building and Construction Trades Council of California, and the Steinberg Institute. The opponents of Proposition 2 say it spends money on buildings instead of treatment. Counties already use Prop 63 for housing by severely mental ill patients, and that restrictive zoning laws are not addressed. There were no financial contributions listed for that Proposition 2, and listed opponent is, as Becky noticed, Charles Madison, president. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not true. I take that back. Listed opponent is Charles Madison, president of National Alliance on Mental Health Contra Costa. The League of Women Voters of California supports the passage of Proposition 2. Thank you.